We'll start with the presentation by Reggie Leach. Reggie came in yesterday evening on a flight, and then from there we took him for supper, and he had his moose meat and his fresh bannock, right? So that's good. So Reggie, to introduce Reggie, the rifle, he's a band member of the Barrenjoura First Nation Treaty 5, champion 1975 with the Stanley Cup champion, 1976 Conn Smythe Trophy winner, in 1976 Team Canada, NHL record holder, most goals in the NHL playoffs, Order of Canada, Order of Manitoba, honorary doctorate from Brook University, National Aboriginal Achievement Award recipient, Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, Manitoba Hockey Hall of Fame, Manitoba Indigenous Sports Hall of Fame, part of the Flyers 35-game unbeaten streak in 1980, which is a record. NHL All-Star Team in 1976. NHL All-Star Game 1980. He was MVP when number 99 Wayne Gretzky made his first appearance. And Gordie Howe's final All-Star Game. So let's welcome Reggie Leach, and he'll be doing his presentation. Okay, we're going to play how many minutes?
4.5.
4.5 minute video. So we're going to start it.
The play button.
Sittler, to this day, no one has scored more goals in a playoff game than one Reggie Leach. The evening Leach, rifle in front. Subject to tonight's slip back into 40.
I've written this song called www.magician.com/magician/rifle/, which is an online picture of the song. Well, I do hope that he'll be considered for the Hall of Fame, and I think that the numbers are there as this submission shows, but also it's kind of a project about who we honor and why we honor them, and I think that we're taught that people should be honored for the content of their character, and Reggie has that. He's such an inspirational figure to so many different communities, and so I think that's why he should be considered. So hopefully they'll think about it that way as well. And it would be great for the town of Riverton and for the province of Manitoba for people to be able to come to the hall and see the plaque and know that Reggie's been honored for all he's done and all the people he continues to inspire.
It's something to be proud of, even if I don't make it in.
Now from hockey and again in the athlete category, Reggie Leach. Since 1965, the National Hockey League has presented the Conn Smythe Award to the most valuable player in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It usually goes to the top scorer, outstanding goaltender, or inspirational leader on the winning team. But only 4 players from the losing teams have ever skated off with the top prize. Such was the case with Reggie Leach in 1976 Stanley Cup playoffs. One season after helping the Philadelphia Flyers win their second consecutive Stanley Cup in 1975, Leach lived up to his reputation as the Riverton Rifle. He scored a league-high 61 goals in the regular season and led the scoring parade in the playoffs with 19 goals and 24 points, setting an NHL record with goals in 9 games in a row. Even though Montreal won its first of 4 straight Stanley Cups in 4 straight games, Leach became the first and only skater from a losing team to carry off the coveted prize. It was the highlight of an NHL career filled with highlights. He added another 50-goal season in 1980. When he wrapped up his 13-year career in 1983, Reggie had notched 381 goals in Boston, California, Philadelphia, and Detroit. Leach was marked for greatness early. After burning up the minor hockey league circuit in Riverton, he headed to Flin Flon as a 16-year-old to play for the Bombers in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League in 1966. When the Bombers made the jump to the Western Hockey League the following year, Leach joined with Bobby Clarke to form one of the most feared goal-scoring duos the WHL has ever seen. In the 1967-68 season, he finished second to Clarke in the league in scoring and first in goals. 2 seasons later, he was the league's top scorer and led the Bombers to their second consecutive WHL championship. Drafted by the Boston Bruins 3rd overall in 1970, Reggie made his NHL debut with the Bruins in the 1970-71 season. The following year, he was traded to the California Golden Seals. But it wasn't until his trade to the Flyers in 1974, on the recommendation of his old teammate Clarke, the Flyers captain, that Leach's career really took off with 46 goals in his first season in Philadelphia. He wrapped up his playing career in 1982-83 as a member of the Detroit Red Wings. Reggie Leach, now a member of the Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame.
In 40 years of Flyers hockey, no player has ever had a night quite like the one Reggie Leach had on May 6, 1976. The Flyers took on the Boston Bruins that evening in Game 5 of their playoff series at the Spectrum. By the time the night was over, Leach would make NHL history. One after another, the Bucks would go in for the man they called the Rifle. Bruins goaltender Gilles Gilbert seemed powerless to stop him. Leach wound up with 5 goals, tying a long-standing record shared by names like Richard and Sittler. To this day, no one has scored more goals in a playoff game than one Reggie Leach. The evening Leach rifled in 5. The subject of tonight's look back into 40 years of Flyers hockey. Brought to you by Tasty Cake. Easy to pass on, hard to pass on.
Yeah, it's always over.
Try to turn it off.
Wow. Nice to go back in time, isn't it? So, first of all, I want to thank you guys for coming out. I haven't been, am I doing something wrong here?
You need to hold it, like, and the echoes.
Squeeze it?
Yeah. Okay, try again.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah. I don't know why it's doing that.
I'll let you on already.
Well, I can't move my hand, that's what it is. No.
Yeah, that's what it is. I don't know. Keep it up.
No.
Okay.
I think it's okay like that, so no is the static.
Yep.
But I was saying is that it's nice to go back in time, and been lucky enough that I have friends that put little videos together of myself. First of all, I want to thank you guys for coming out. To me, this is a very important week, National Addiction Awareness Week. I think it should be all year round, not just for special 5 or 6 days during the year. I know another thing I'd like to say too before I move on to a lot of stuff is that I'm very proud of your council today coming out. Most of the communities I go to, they don't come out to the events, and I do bring it up when I speak because I really notice a lot of stuff that when I come to the communities, and especially with the leadership, I watch to see what they're doing and if they get themselves involved of a lot of the stuff. And I think that to me it's very important for the chief and council to be involved, especially this week. And I think a lot of the times that adults think this is for kids only. It's for everybody. We all went through the same stuff as youngsters that the kids are doing today. I'm alcoholic. I've been in the program. It'll be 40 years this September coming up. So I've been. I did have a few talks about it. I'm not embarrassed about it. It's part of life. It's a part of life of making mistakes as a youngster, and you're moving on. And the biggest thing is that if you don't learn from your mistakes, you're not going to learn anything. And I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I always say that I went to rehab only once for 6 weeks in September 6, 1985. I always say that that year was the best year of my life. I got divorced in 1985, but I also quit drinking in 1985. And everything changed for me in those 6 weeks as you go into rehab and find out who you are, where you belong, why you're doing this, why are you always having this stinking thinking. That's what I call it. And when I went into the rehab for the first week, after 2 days you get in there, they give you a big sheet to fill out. So being an alcoholic, and being a carnal artist that we are, so I figured, okay, this is what they want to hear. So I'm trying to figure out all the stuff they would like to hear. Maybe we'll get out of here earlier. But after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I started to realize what triggered me off, why I did all this stuff. And the more I got into it, I could understand the big book, which is the blue book, Alcoholics Anonymous book. I got reading about the 12 steps. I got to learn about the 12 steps. I understood them. At that time, I understood them more as the weeks go along. And after 6 weeks, I was actually really comfortable with being in there to find out who I was. But then a couple of days before I was leaving, they gave me that same list that I had the first couple of days I was in there. And this time I filled it out. Then I had a meeting with the counselors before I left. And they showed me my first week, what I wrote down, and compared to my last week, what I wrote down. And I looked at it and said, my God, that first one, some idiot wrote that. Because my thinking at that time was just out of whack. And then I went through the whole program, 7 weeks. And I understand our First Nation communities across the country, not only here, across the country, we send people out to rehab. We send them into different rehabs across the country, right? They come back after 4 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever you guys send them out to. You take them out of Winnipeg, you bring them back home, you throw them right back into the fire. So the money that we spent on these people that we do that, you might as well have a little bonfire. Roast some wieners, because this is what's happening. If you don't have a support system, when these young people that go out or elders that go out to get help and come back, it's not going to work. My support system, when I came out of rehab after 7 weeks, my support system was the Philadelphia Flyer alumni, all the players I drank with. Every time I did something in Philadelphia as an event, a golf event or a special event that I had to go to, they would call and say, Reggie, are you going tonight? I said, yeah. They said, okay, we'll pick you up. They babysat me for 3 years to make sure that I didn't stray off. People would offer me drinks when I was out, and they said, Reg doesn't drink anymore. And they would get mad at people for asking me to drink and have a beer. And that's the only reason, probably one of the reasons that I did stay sober, because of the support system and that. And with our communities that I see across the country, we need a support system in these communities somehow. Because if you don't have a support system, it's not going to work. I know a lot of people quit on their own because you had enough after a while. It's the same thing in life. It's that, we all make mistakes. I talk to the kids all the time, and I tell them the mistakes I made as a youngster, as a young junior player growing up in Flin Flon, playing in a National Hockey League with all the great players, all the great players in the world. And it catches up to you. I didn't realize I was alcoholic until I was 32 years old. I couldn't get a job in the National Hockey League after that. That's why I played in the minors 1 year, just because of my addiction with alcohol. And the thing with that is that you don't really realize it until, I started drinking at the age of 12, first time I picked up. I drank a little bit in junior hockey. And then once pro comes along, you don't really realize it, because you're always out for dinner, you're always meeting people. We always had beer in the dressing rooms, on our bus, on our airplanes, everything else. Everything was there for us. And most of the guys did drink. And for myself, I just pushed it a little bit farther than others. But come back in say when I was 34, so it'd be 1984. There's a few things that I wish I could bring back. Things happened. I couldn't get a job in the National Hockey League. The family and that, my wife and I weren't getting along. And so like I said, is that I got divorced in '85 and moved on from there. But the thing is that, about making mistakes as a youngster. I know we all, as adults and grandparents, we always want our kids to do the best they can. And the reason I talk to the kids directly, and I don't lie to them, because I don't want them to make the same mistakes I made as a youngster. It can be an alcoholic. It can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter if you're a doctor, a pro hockey player, or a chief, or whatever, whoever the head of a big company. It catches up to you. You don't really realize it. I was doing a talk in Lac Seul First Nation in Winnipeg 3 years ago, and I can't remember a lady's name. She's a doctor. She specializes in drugs, and she gets up there and talks, and then she says, you know what the difference is between Mr. Leach? He's alcoholic, and today's kids. It took Mr. Leach, I think she said something like 22 years before he realized that he was alcoholic. But today's kids, all it takes is one pill to get addicted to it. And he said that's the difference between alcohol and the drugs today. It's amazing what she talked about, how these drugs are taking over our reserves. I'm pretty blunt of what I talk about now, and I think I blame a lot of it on our chief and council not being strong enough. Oh, there's a duck. Okay. But I know it's a tough job in all our reserves across the country. Everybody has their own ideas of what they should do and what they shouldn't do, and but one of the councillors today was talking. I was listening to him talking, and he says there's more good people on this res than bad people. So why are we letting the bad people take over all our good people? I don't understand that part of it. I think we have to work together as one still, as a community, and battle it. Battle is going to be slow, and you go from there one step at a time. It's like being an alcoholic. Your program is one step at a time, one day at a time. And if you don't work the program, you're going to go back, becoming back drinking alcohol again. It's the same thing in what's going on in this community, not only in this community, all the communities. If you do everything one day at a time and keep plugging at it, keep plugging and working together, it's going to be, it's going to work great in the long run. I know that you know, I have spoke to so many other communities of what's going on in their community. I got a community at home that I live on deck on the continent in Ontario. Well, it's a small community, 600 people. We probably lose one youth a month. One a month. And you know, it's like anything else. I know I know this community is going through some tragedy right now and stuff like that, and you know, I feel bad for all our communities across the country because of all the people I have known that, you know, they either from drug overdose or else they hang themselves and stuff like that. And you know, I wish I had a magic wand to help everybody, because it's really bad with our communities across the country, guys. I know sometimes maybe, you know, we as First Nation people, we, you know, main concern is here and nowhere else. But this is happening right across the country. I've been lucky enough to be, there's 630 First Nations in Canada. I've been to 300 of them. I've been to 300 of them. And everyone's different. All the people are different. But all I can say about our First Nation communities is that the people I have met over the years, like in here, just been wonderful. They've been really wonderful. I just love going into the communities, and I get to talk to everybody. I get to listen to their ideas, their downfalls, or the stuff they like to see that's different in their communities. And to me, it means that you guys are all concerned of what's going on. Lucy, I follow her all the time on Facebook. She has her little famous little quotes every so often, so I try to figure out what's going on in her community and stuff like that. And other friends I have here, Albert's here, and a lot of other people I haven't seen for years, and it's always good to meet people. But you know, for myself, of what I have done and what I've accomplished, hockey to me was just a stepping stone to who I am today. I am more proud of what I've done after hockey than my hockey career. You know, I always say that playing hockey was easy for me. Playing hockey, to make a hockey team was easy to me. You know, I always tell the young kids, the easiest thing to do is to make a hockey team. The hardest thing to do is stay with that hockey team, because you have other people coming in and want your job. That's the difference. The kids today, grandparents, you got grandparents here. I'll pick on you guys for a while. Hockey-wise, I talked to a lot of the grandparents that were in there today and stuff like that. They're very proud of their grandkids. And I said, well, you're probably one of those grandparents that give the kids $10 a goal, aren't you? Right? And they sort of smile, and I said, well, that's up to you. I said, but it actually hurts the kid in the long run. Why don't you give him $5 an assist? Let him work harder and let him do what he has to do. Make the kids accountable for what they do. Don't give them everything just because they know they can sweet talk you and give you everything they want. Let them work for what they want. It's like us being drug addicts or alcoholics. We have to work at our program. I work my program every day. I've been in a program now, it's going to be 40 years. And I look at myself all the time and say, Reg, what are you going to do today? I make up my mind every morning, wake up, I'm going to learn one thing every day. I'm 74 years old. I still want to learn different things. I learned from talking to people in here the last, well, I haven't even been here a day yet, but a day. And, but going to Jordan Principal's office and all that this morning, and meeting people at the mall and stuff like that. To me, it's a good feeling when people remember you and talk to them. So that's one thing about myself, is that I love what I do. I get to see so many wonderful people, and you know, the thing about life is, you guys, is that be kind. Treat everybody the same. I learned that from my grandmother. I'm adopted into the Leach family. I was adopted. I was 2 years old when well, I call her my sister now, but when I was born in Winnipeg, my biological mother's actually from Eagle Lake, Ontario, and she could not afford to keep me. She was 16 years old, and my sister said, "Oh, I know who's I can get to look after him." It was my grandma, right? So I come to Riverton and everything else, and after 2 months, they adopted me, and I was part of the Leach family. So that I always knew. Later on in life, I knew they were just my half brothers and sisters, but I always called them my brother and sister all my life. So, and there's no more Leaches left, just myself. Everybody passed. I have a son. I have a daughter. 3 grandkids. So it's you know, so they're going to carry on the Leach name, but. Those are the things that you know, going back to hockey, for example, is that my son Jamie and I played with Team Canada in 1976. My son Jamie played with Team Canada in 1989. My daughter Brandy played with Team Canada in 91, 92 in women's lacrosse. So I'm very proud of both their kids playing Team Canada. Jamie and I are the only First Nation father and son to ever win the Stanley Cup. We don't have anybody else that did it. Here's a question to you guys. I know some of you guys, since you guys are hockey nuts, I know we got a couple of hockey nuts. How many First Nation players have we got in the National Hockey League?
4? She said 4.
Okay. Can you name the 4?
Over 20.
Hey?
Over 20.
Can you
Over
name
20.
There's over 20? You better give your head a shake. How many? What for, do you think?
They're on tour.
How many players, do you think, how many players are playing that were into the National Hockey League Hall of Fame? How many? 1? Who's the one?
The Hall of Fame.
None. We don't have one player that's First Nation that's in the National Hockey League Hall of Fame. You guys know, believe that? We only got about maybe 5 or 6 that play in the National Hockey League right now. Over the last 2 years, we had Montreal, White Cloud that won Stanley Cup. But prior to that, we don't.
How about Trotty and
Métis. Métis.
Still Aboriginal.
Doesn't matter. I said First Nation. Go ahead. George Armstrong, Métis.
Oh.
That's the only players that ever won the cup, really. So, I always have a good time with that one. So, you got any other names going on?
Bufflin.
Hey?
Bufflin.
Who?
Preston.
Buckland?
Bufflin. No, I don't just.
Yeah. You know, the only guy that we're going to have is going to be Carey Price next year. Carey Price is going to be up for the Hockey Hall of Fame because this is his 3rd year out of the league. So he should get in as our First Nation player in the National Hockey League. He's on Métis. So that shouldn't be a problem. You know, we have so many great hockey players across the country. Norway House, Cross Lake, best teams in Manitoba. And you guys should be proud of them. You know, I get to talk to Norway House every so often at Cross Lake. I go in their dressing room. Sometimes I'm a guest at a tournament. I end up going there because they're from Manitoba. So I go up and talk to the guys, and I always talk to the guys and says, guys, you guys are the best players in Norway House. You guys are actually idols of the young kids that are playing in your community. So you got to act like that. You got to be, when you see young kids and that, you can't be drinking in front of them, you can't be smoking in front of them, because they all idolize you. Whatever you do, they're going to follow your arm. I did that as a kid. When I was 10 years old, my life was to play, not in the National Hockey League or junior hockey. I wanted to play for the senior hockey team because they were the best players in town. So by the time I was 13, I was good enough to play for the senior hockey team. And guess what I did? The same thing what they did. After a game, they have a beer. I had a beer with them because they thought I could just sit there with them and that. But that all caught up to me in the long run. So, but those are just little things that I have went through as a person, and that it's it's a tough life out there. It's to become a pro hockey player and try to stay away from. When I went to Boston in 1970 as a young rookie, young person out of Flin Flon, I played in Flin Flon for 4 years. Here I am, never been out of Manitoba, never been on a plane. And here I am flying from Winnipeg to Boston to the training camp my first year. I go in there, I never said a word. I was a shy little kid. I probably didn't speak till I was about 29. And then, I just sat back and watched everything, let everybody push me around. And I remember sitting in a dressing room one time. Bobby Orr is right across the dressing room from me, Esposito, Sanderson, Kenny Hodge. And I'm sitting on this side with Rick McLeish and a couple of other rookies, and I'm looking at them and said, my God, I shouldn't even be in this room, because they just wanted to stand the cup. They're the best players in the world. And I didn't play very much the first year, but the second year when I came back, I decided that, my God, these guys are no better than I am. And that's when everything started changing around for me. And I asked for a trade. Went to California Golden Seals, and then I got traded to Philadelphia in 1974. So all these things build up together, and you go from there, and you learn from your mistakes, and you move on. I see so many things that I speak of now, that because I learn from people yourselves, like the elders I talk to. I love talking to the elders every time I go into communities, because I learn so much from them. The wisdom that you guys have, the wisdom that I use when I speak to other communities. I listened to Lucy speak the last couple days here, and what she puts on Facebook and stuff. I put all these little, it might not be much, but I use it in the long run. I listened to the three counselors. Was there 3 counselors today? 3, right? 1, 2, and 3. And I listened to what they said about their community and what they did, what they're doing, and what they're supposed to be doing. And I knew Anthony for a long time, and what they said, I will take and use someplace else, because I like what they said. I think they were pretty honest. What I see, anyhow. You guys know better I do. So. But those are the things that I watch for. I'm very good with my surroundings, and when I come into a community, I watch everything what's going on, and that's one thing I learn about people, what they do in their community and stuff. So here's the thing. Okay, anybody want to ask me a question? Face north? No? I could ask you a question if you want. I'll put you in a position.
No.
Yes?
What was it like playing with Bobby Orr in the first year in the league?
I didn't play with him. I opened his door for the first year. I was the highest paid door opener in Boston when I got drafted. I got drafted number 3 in the world. I made $26,000 a year as a 20-year-old playing in Boston. So I only played 1 shift a game. I used to stand at the one door, open the door for all the guys to go in and out. So I never But being in this room with him, seeing him play and stuff, and playing against him, and it was just an awe because at that time he was young still, and he was still best player now. I think he's the best player ever that put on a pair of skates today. I remember playing in Team Canada in 1976. Right? Here we are, all the rest of the guys, we go to Montreal. We're in there 1 month before we start playing. We have to practice every day, twice a day on the ice, and go through all this running exercises and all that stuff. And Bobby Orr, all he did is come out in sweats at that time because he had bad knees, shot the pucks around for 10-15 minutes, went in, iced his legs, and that was it. Once the tournament started, he was the best player on ice. Just unbelievable what he did with, for an athlete with 2 bad knees. He couldn't skate. I put ice on him all the time. So that's what kind of athlete he was. Here's, I'll give you another good story so when I played in Boston, so they just won the cup. So there was 5 of us never played. We were called the Block Aces. There's 5 guys that sat at the end of the bench and never played. We might play one period, one shift a game. So there's one game, we're playing against St. Louis. We're in the Boston Gardens. And so very first period, we get a shift. So Ace Bailey, I'm not sure if you guys know a guy named Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey was one of the hockey players that passed away in 9/11 in New York, one of the planes. So we get our first shift, and Ace says, "My God, we might be able to get 2 or 3 shifts tonight." Nothing happened the rest of the first. Nothing happened the rest of the second. So we're sitting in about 2 minutes left in the game. The coach comes down our end of the bench, and Ace said, "What the hell is he doing here?" I said, "I don't know. We already got our 1 shift, so we're not getting out there again." So he comes back out, he taps Ace Bailey on the shoulder and says, "Ace, get out there and take off so-and-so." Ace turns around, "I can't, coach, I don't have my skates on." I said, "No lie." He took his skates off because his feet hurt so much. So all these little stories that you hear, away from the game, you wouldn't believe stuff that we did. It's crazy, and there's getting back into the alcohol and stuff of that. There's more athletes that are in the program that would shock you guys across the country. So we're not all perfect. I know that we as First Nation people, we're always behind the 8 ball. Doesn't matter what in life. We have to work twice as hard to be successful. If you're not, I always say that if you're not white, you're not right. That's what they think all the time, but they're wrong. They've been trying to kick us out for hundreds and hundreds of years, that we're not going any place, and we're going to keep on battling it with them, and there's going to be more fights later on down the line. Our young kids are going to take our spots over and what's going on, and don't give up. That's the big thing. And what Lucy's doing here, I know that I talked to some people about her today, but I didn't let her know that, but the work that she has done, the dedication, that work that you have done for this community is unbelievable. I know there's a lot of people always have help others, and then you have others that don't care about their neighbors and stuff like that, but we as First Nation people, I noticed that we help tons and tons of people all the time, and that's the way we are. We feed them. Coming to First Nation communities, thank God I don't come every week or every day, because I would be 350 pounds. You got to have breakfast, then you got to have a break, then you got to have a coffee break, then you got to have lunch, then you got to have a coffee break, then you got to have lunch again. So it's something that we don't starve, put it like that. So, but those are the things that I see in different communities as I go on. And for the National Addiction Awareness Week, my God, I wish it was every day. I wish that a lot of communities would put more effort into helping our young kids in putting them in the right direction, making them in the right choices and stuff like that. I know it's hard. I have a couple good friends that were addicted to drugs and that, and talk to them to blue in the face, and they're not budging. And you know, I think that's when they're ready, they'll go, if they make it that long. You know, we have too many kids that pass right now. I haven't been involved with a lot of people that have passed over the last 4 or 5 years that are actually friends of mine or whatever it is. It's a shock because I live in a small community. The area I live in, Wiki is 4,000 people. We got another place that's maybe 2,500, but we have a lot of Birch Island, maybe 1,500, but they're all friends, all people that I have grown up with since I moved to the island. And their kids or grandkids are, you know, overdosing on drugs and stuff like that. It's crazy, and they have you know, well, they have a thing right now in Ontario. I'm not sure if you got heard of it, called the Port Huron Treaty Agreement that they won. 21 communities, equal share. Doesn't matter the size. Sharing, I think it's $10 billion. Can you be able to, I know one community right now, each person in that community gets $750,000. Kids that are under 18, that money goes into escrow until they turn 18 and then they get it. Can you imagine that? The drugs that are on our island today is that the druggies even give them people credit. They've been doing it for 2 years, giving the people credit because they know they were getting that money sooner or later. I have my wife's grandson had $150,000. 3 weeks he broke. 3 weeks. Got into the drugs, just bought everything and gave away stuff, and that's. But there's a lot of good things about it. Also, there's a lot of families that took that money and did good things about it. They took their kids to Disney World. They took kids on trips. They redid their houses and bought new cars and invested their money. It's not all negative stuff. So it's like we were talking about the other day. I was talking about you know, we as First Nation people, and you know, what I call the white man's world. All they do is talk about the negative stuff, what the First Nation does all the time, right? How come they don't talk about the positive stuff we have? Norway House, for example, this beautiful, beautiful hospital, right? This is a big hospital in here that's going to be operating soon, I hope. But those are positive things I see in communities. I haven't been here for a while, and I went around the town. My chauffeur took me around, and a lot of things have changed over the years since I've been here. And it looks like a lot of the stuff is for the positive, but you still have your negative part in town. And I think that a lot of the people that are the older generation that's in here is that, you know, I think that it's, I know you guys don't give up. You keep on pushing, you push the kids, and we try to push our grandkids in the right direction, do the best we can, but that's all we can do at our age, right? So, I got to see this little girl today. She's always making faces at me, so. Okay, any more questions?
Yep. What can we do to help you get into the Hall of Fame, or?
You know, honestly,
You should be there.
I am happy of what I'm doing today. I really am. I have so many people that wanted to get me in the Hall of Fame over the few years, and it failed in that. And I always say that you guys are my Hall of Famers. I'm happy with that. I'm good. I don't have to be in there for much. You know, I know what I have done. I know the stuff I have done. Like I told you before, I'm more proud of what I have done after hockey. I dedicated myself to help our First Nation youth across the country, and I'm happy with that. I don't need all this stuff like today is They're reading the stats here. Those are just stats. You know, it happened at the time, and it's nice to get that, you know, get the Order of Canada, but it's, you know, I'm happy of who I am and what I do, and I get to see so many beautiful faces all the time, and get to skate today. Lucy twisted and made sure I went skating today. She haven't skated in 2 years, but yeah, but it was fun. It was something that, to me, it's always very, very nice to see people that knew my background and where I came from. And that we all came from back, you know, we didn't have anything when I grew up. I grew up on welfare. We didn't have nothing as a kid. I remember that. And you know, I tried to explain to the grandkids and stuff like that, and pretty hard. It's pretty hard up. They said, "You didn't have any money?" I said, "No." And I said, that's why I couldn't skate till I was 10 years old, because my mom and dad couldn't afford the $7.50 for arena fees. So I always talk about that stuff, the way it goes. So, but it's all good. It's all good stuff, guys. It's all the people in this room, guys, is that you're always doing stuff for the community. You always have you know, positive for the community and stuff, and you know, I know that people like yourselves that put this on, this program for this week, is very important. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, a lot of connection to people coming in, coming out, getting people to come in at certain times. I know there's a lot of people that should be in these rooms listening to speakers, but they don't, because they think they know it all. You know, even the people that are working on it in general for the whole week, they should be listening to all the speakers also. It's not like when I go into an event, if I'm one of the speakers, I don't just come in there 15 minutes before I have to speak. I come in there early and I listen to everybody else speak, because I learn from them. It might be all different subjects, but I learn from their speech, how they do it, what they're talking about, and you move on. It's like earlier today when the councillors are speaking and the people up here. Always listen to people, what they're saying. Take out what you need. You know, like we're talking about the big book when I went to rehab, right? There's 12 steps. I had a big argument with one person at one of the reserves one time, and he says, "Well, the book says you got to do this, do this, do this." I said, "Well, some people need it," I said, "but if you read back on page so-and-so," I knew that at that time. And it says, take out what you need in the book to keep yourself straight. I only use about 4 or 5 steps that I work on all the time, and it keeps me straight. That's what it does. So, and I'm going to continue doing it. I wish I was, last night after I talked to your husband this morning, and he said that you guys had that church thing last night, and it was sort of to do with addiction. I would have went if I knew that. Yeah, I would have went, because it's up my alley, because I would like to hear people talk about what's going on. I do go to church every so often now. It actually changes my, it's actually a happy place for me. It's someplace that I can listen to, I can understand what's going on. And when I was in the addiction world, I didn't have a clue what was going on in the church world. And then when I go now, I understand a lot of the stuff that's going on, and I think it helps a lot of people. I think it puts a lot of people in a really good mood when they go there, and you know, it's a relaxing place. So it's something that I'm very happy I got involved with it. And you know, guys, is that I always say I'm the luckiest guys in the world. I get to live in the white man's world. I came back. I lived in Philadelphia for 40-some years in the States. I met a woman in 2007. I was divorced for a while. I was single, and I met a Ojibwe lady from Ontario. I was invited as a guest at the little NHL tournament, which I'm not sure you guys ever heard of. It's the biggest tournament, native tournament in Canada. It's 240 teams. I end up meeting her there and stuff like that, and next thing you know, there goes my single life again. Then so, but it's all turned out well. I tell you what, when I moved back to Canada, and I end up living on the First Nation community, and I end up going to ceremonies and different things along the way. And about a year later on, I finally realized where I should have been years ago, because I think when I was living in a white man's world, I was really a toss up to, you know, do I really belong here or do I belong there? I was in between, but once I came home and started interacting with everybody on people that's the same color, the people that think the same way as I do sometimes, and going through all the ceremonies, best thing I ever did in my life. Best thing I ever did. So it changed me to be a complete different person.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment that I'm one of the community wellness workers, and the things that are happening this week, a lot of times as community wellness workers, we do a lot of these activities. It goes on all through the year. When we do different things, we involve different people and different resources to help us. And it's not just a one-time thing. But we know we can do more. And the thing that happened yesterday, we had 7 ministers that came to that opening ceremony, and we focused more on the spiritual teachings from the Bible and from a traditional point of view. And everybody shared what they saw that needs to happen, and a lot of it is happening already, but we need to do more. And even sometimes when we see the drug dealing and the bootlegging happening, and there's a lot of people that are not involved in that, parents, grandparents, but the sad part is they're not saying anything. When we need more people to say things, you can't do that. When I was growing up, if I screwed up as a teenager, any elder or any adult would get after me. I lived in Rossville, and if I did something wrong in Port Island, before I got home, my parents knew what was happening, because people talk to each other, people communicate with each other, they visited and whatever. And there was never, and if you see an elder, let's say cutting wood or carrying water, you help them out.
Well, the other thing with that is that back then when we were growing up, we were responsible for our actions.
Yeah.
You know, we got punished, we got strapped, we got whatever happened with our mother and fathers at the time. And in today's world, it's not happening. You can't touch a kid, you can't do this, you can't do that. Another thing you're talking about, when the kids get in trouble, right? Your kids get in trouble as a parent. You love your kids, you protect them, doesn't matter what. But in the long run, I believe that you're hurting them in the long run, because things are going to happen more than what he's just doing. You know, it's like my kids, for example, my son Jamie and Brandy. If they were selling drugs and that, as a father, by loving them so much, I wouldn't say anything at the time. But I think, to me, the way I think today, I think it's wrong, because in the long run, something could happen to them. They could go over and commit suicide or whatever it is at the time, and then did something happen, then it comes back to me, I'm going to say, oh, I should have said something. But that's going to happen a lot.
But that's starting to happen now.
Oh, sure it is.
That's starting
Yeah.
to happen. There's more.
Yeah, it's not only here, it's all over the place. It's the love of your children, that parents are protecting them, and that they think they're helping them out, but they're not in the long run. That's the way I look at it anyhow. So, you know, it's tough. It's a tough thing. It's a tough situation when you have your kids into drugs. They're selling drugs. The people they hang out, It's a tough world. And like you said, for example, when you were younger and you got in trouble, time you walked those 2 or 3 blocks home, they already knew what you did. And it wasn't pleasant when you walked through the door, was it? So it does happen. So, how about you two ladies? You got a question? You're sitting there smiling at me. Yeah. Loretta, you got a question? This is my good friend. I haven't seen her for years. My God. Yeah, it's got to be what, 15 years? Yeah.
Long time ago.
Yeah. I was younger then.
You're all young.
Oh, hang on. Here's one.
So before you stopped drinking, what got you into it, or? I'm sorry I wasn't here for most of the beginning here, but I wanted to ask about that.
Why did I stop drinking?
So why did you start in the first place?
Start drinking?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was a dumb little 12-year-old.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I followed what my older brothers and sisters did. I had a brother that was 2 years older than I am, and we were like 2 peas in a pod, so whatever he did, I did. And then I got tied up playing senior hockey at the age of 13. And what do you think the senior hockey players do after games, right? I didn't know any better. I just went, I went with them, right? And you know, the thing is, I'll tell you a little story on that. It sort of, so when I was 13 years old, I got tied up at the senior hockey club and stuff like that. And so I played a couple of years there. I went to play junior hockey when I was 15 in Weyburn, Saskatchewan. I got cut from that team. I came back home and I said, my God, I got cut. Best player around? I thought I was the best player around. I get cut, I come back home. So I ended up playing senior hockey all year. So that now I just turned 16 in April, and this gentleman in town comes up and said, Reg, come on with me. We're going to the restaurant and I need to talk to you. And it's an Icelander named Siggy Johnson. We sat down and we had a restaurant in Riverton, we only had one. So he says, he was sitting around and right by the window, and he said, what do you want to do with your life? I said, I want to be a hockey player. He says, oh, that's good. I said, and he says, you think you can make it to the National Hockey League or junior hockey? I said, well, I got cut last year, but I think I could probably. He said, well, what's going to happen? He says, you got tied up with the senior hockey club this year. And I says, yeah. And he says, I know, I didn't know where he was going. He says, so you think you're a really good hockey player? He says, yep. And he pointed out the window. He says, see that guy on the street there? He was our town drunk. He says, he was twice the hockey player you were at the same age. And the way you're going right now with the senior team, you're going to end up sitting next to him next year. And that changed everything around. That was the end of April. And he said, I'll get you out of Riverton. In May the 6th, he had a bus ticket for me going to Flin Flon. And I sat there all summer long till training camp started. They got a job for me there from the Bomber Hockey Club. I worked there all summer and ended up meeting Bobby Clark. And we became instant friends, and once the league started, everything was fine. But if it wasn't for Siggy for getting me out of town, it probably would have changed my whole life around. So getting back to why I quit drinking, mainly because I couldn't get a job in the National Hockey League when I was 34 years old. I would have liked to play one more season to get my 400 goals and 1,000 games in. So we were out with the party with the guys one time. I come back, I got sick. First time I ever got sick for drinking. I called my friend up, and he calls me up, says, he's a doctor friend of mine. They took me to the hospital. I'm in there, he's checking me over. He said, Reg, you have to stop drinking. You have 2 choices. You can live or die, you decide. And I said, okay. Then he said, well, I can get you into rehab. And he says, you think about it, and I'll come back tomorrow morning. That was on a Sunday. I go back, he comes back Monday morning, he said, what do you decide? I says, okay, I want to quit. He said, don't just say it just to get out of here. You got to mean it. I says, yeah, I want to quit. And that's when I went to rehab. He had me in rehab the next day. And I was there for 6 weeks and I haven't drank since. So those are the things, like I always say I'm the luckiest person in the world, because a lot of people have to go through rehab 3 or 4 times, 5 times, which I believe is okay, because I'm a big believer of giving people second chances. A lot of people can't do it the first time around, but to come back the second time, third time, fourth time, don't give up on them. That's the thing. We give up on people too fast, and especially in our First Nation world. We always say, oh, he's no good, we're not going to help him out. We already helped him out twice. But sometimes it takes a while for it to sink into a lot of people that you have to help out. You know, it's like Siggy and those guys. If they didn't believe in me when I was playing hockey, and that would be a different story for myself when I come out of rehab. I'm not sure if you were here or not. We were talking about a while ago about we as people always send out people to Winnipeg for rehab and bring them back. We'll throw them right back into the fire. But if you don't have a support system, it's not going to work. And for myself, one of the reasons I worked, my support system was all the Philadelphia Flyer players I played with, the alumni guys. For 3 years, they babysat me. I couldn't go any place without one of those little guys sneaking around and saying, come on, you're not going there. So, but in the long run, it was great. I appreciated it. And even today, I have some of them call all the time and say, Reg, how you doing and stuff. So, you know, like when you're on the hockey team, your guys are pretty well friends for lives. You know, I talk to young kids in school, you know, I say to the young kids, all these kids in here are your friends. And you got to realize that they're going to be your friends the rest of your lives. And those are the things that you have to really, you know, pay attention to. Pay attention to our kids, adults today. What this really pees me off is that you have a kid that's 11, 12 years old, comes up to their parents and say, Mom and Dad, I got to talk to you. Dad will say, oh, I don't have time right now. Mom said, I got to go to work right now. What's the big deal of listening to him for 5 minutes? How often does a 10 or 11 or 12-year-old come up to you and say, Mom and Dad, I need to talk to you? Not too often, so it has to be something serious. And I always bring that up when I have a young crowd and our young parents and that, because I think it's something that I know it's nice to make money. If you're not interested in your kids, don't have kids. Pay attention to them, what they want. Help them out, push them in the right direction. You know, I think we all made mistakes as when we had kids, because we just learned. And I think the kids today do the same thing. We have kids today are more kids having kids. So those things all tied up together. Parents, blaming parents, the grandparents, babysitting young girls' kids at a young age. Oh, okay, I'll look after them for you. You can't. Make them responsible. Let them stay home. Look after their kids. You can oversee them. All you're doing is, if you're going to take them, all you're doing is giving them the license to go out and get pregnant again. So it's a cycle that we're going through. So I'm being pretty well forward here now. So, but okay, let's take a couple more questions. I know I'm looking at this young lady here. I know she's really getting into it now. I can tell. So, but you know, I know it's tough to ask questions when you're not. But the thing, guys, is that, you know, be proud of who you are. Be proud of where you come from. Be proud of each other. You know, it's a small world. Life is too short. Life is like this. We all lost loved ones. And, you know, the thing is that we don't want to lose any more young ones. So that's the thing about life today, why I look at it. You know, like I think I mentioned this a while ago, but one thing I learned about from my grandmother is I always lived by, is to be kind. Treat everybody the same. Be humble. Be kind to everybody. Doesn't matter who it is. You know, I get a lot of times a lot of people that are hockey experts, they want to come and talk to me. And I put up with it. I said, okay, great, just okay, great. But it's just something that they want to talk about. So it's nothing personal. So it's something that I always try to treat everybody the same. Doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, and it makes life very easy. I get to see, I don't know how many people I see in a year. I travel about 100,000 miles a year still to different First Nation communities across the country. So to me, it's fun. It's still fun. I'm 74 years old. I'm not the oldest one here, but I'm lucky enough that I'm healthy enough to do the stuff that I still want to do. So I gotta, after today, because of Lucy, I gotta go get my right knee operated on. So, but that was going in. It wasn't going in before. But I enjoyed skating, though. I enjoyed skating with everybody today. It was actually a lot of fun to put the skates back on. I only skated once last year, and I played in a hockey tournament 3 years ago when I was 72. So I still like it. So I got grandkids that play hockey now. It's just like the rest of you guys. Is that people that are young enough, parents like yourself. You have a young daughter there, it's that, watch her practice. Don't just drop her off the rink. Go to their games, watch them. And, a lot I see is too many people going to the arena, dropping their kids off, leaving them there. They don't know how they practice. They don't know what's going on at the rink. They don't know why they sat out the next game. They sat out the first period mainly because they're being punished because they didn't practice right, but their parents didn't watch. So all these things together that you have to really put this together as one, because the parents, we jump to conclusions because we want to protect our kids. Listen to both ends of the story first, and then say something. So, right, Joanne? You went through that for years, didn't you? Blamed everybody else. No, she didn't. No, it's great. It's great to see Joanne. I haven't seen her for years, and her and her husband Kenny and I have been. Friends for many, many years. So, still miss them. You guys are like family to me still, so let's just get something good. So. Well, I'm going to cut this short. I think it's been a great talk. I think I like telling my story, and I'm glad you guys listened. I want to say thank you to Lucille, whatever. It's I gotta get her on. She's actually really good to work with. She is, yeah, right on the ball. Little texts here and there. I had my chauffeur over there, so, but we'll see what happens. And I'm leaving tonight. I'm on my way. I have to be in Calgary on Wednesday, and then Edmonton on Friday, and Ottawa on Tuesday. So I got lots of traveling in the next 2 weeks. So then I'm actually taking a break. My wife and I are finally taking a break. My wife's she travels about 140,000 miles a year. She speaks all over the world. I'm very proud of her, what she has accomplished for herself. She's in economic development, and she just came back from Taiwan the day I flew here. So it's something that I get to go with her once in a while. I get to go to New Zealand, Australia, and stuff like that. So it's I finally got her away from work for a whole month. She's taken actually a whole month off to go on some holidays for us. So, but it's like anything else, guys. Is that treat yourself to something special. Don't everybody needs something special in their lives. Especially the older people yourself. You have a chance. Treat yourselves. Don't worry about the your kids and that. Let them start treating you. You're at that age where you should be looked after yourselves. Not you looking after their grandkids and stuff. It's great to have grandkids. Love them, but give them back. Don't be keeping them. Right? Okay. And again, thank you very much, everybody, for listening. And have a great week, guys. Have a good week. Go try to try to take in everything what's going on this week. I know the girls, the ladies here, they put in many, many hours to organize this whole week. You guys got special, other special speakers coming in, and you know, welcome with open arms like you guys did with me. Thank you. I just want a sweater.
Maybe explain to them.
Yes, I'm donating this sweater here. I'm not sure what she's going to use it for, but it'll be some kind of fundraiser along the way. So it's something that I do with the different communities I go to. I give them a jersey, and whatever they want to do with it is fine. Also, I have some photos here if anybody wants a photo of this year with stuff in the back. I'll stick around and sign everything, and I know there's a young lady that has a bunch of pictures back there that she blew me up and made me look better. Thank you.
Oh, I better go over here. So, thank you again, Reggie, for coming to our community. Thank you for your story, your knowledge, and your wisdom. And also, on behalf of NAAW Cree Nation, we want to present a gift to you. Yeah. It's coming. You're going. Oh. I would say me, but I'm married. Oh, sorry.
Oh, great.
So this is a gift from us, from NAAW Cree Nation, the planning committee, and our health department.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yes, if you want to open.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I got a little key. Okay.
That's from our Health Center of Excellence. That was made by Keisha Albert, one of our youth from NAAW Cree Nation. And that's Peter Albert's granddaughter. And Frida.
Frida?
Yeah, Frida and Frida Albert's granddaughter made that.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
So this is our sweater for our National Addiction Awareness Week, and that's our logo and our theme, honoring ourselves for change. So that's our theme.
This is beautiful.
Yep, thank you.
And then,
And so,
oh, look all good here.
will you have room in your suitcase?
I'll have to take Murray's suitcase with me now.
Oh, he's got lots.
Oh. He said he was packing them the other day. I wasn't sure why. Okay,
What?
we got, and this is tobacco.
Tobacco, yeah.
I even got matches in here. Let's start a bonfire. Okay.
Not a bomb.
Okay. Yeah, this is nice.
There's your mug.
Some morning coffee. Take that again. And then hang on. I got this over here.
There's more in there.
A laptop bag.
No computer.
I can't give you mine, so you have to keep it.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you very much again,
thank you.
again.
That was great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your for being in NAAW. So yesterday evening, when he landed, my brother-in-law offered to cook for him. So he had his moose meat, he had his fresh bannock. Oh no, wait a minute. When I told him that supper was going to be made for him, And he says, later on he sends me a message and he says, is there going to be fresh banana? I says, everything's going to be there for you.
No, this is great.
Yeah. So thank you once again, and thank you for coming today. Join us again tomorrow at 1 o'clock. There'll be a mall display from 10 to 12 tomorrow at the mall. And then Tuesday, we'll start at 1 o'clock. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll start at 1 o'clock here. Since there's no heat at the multiplex, so we'll have the events happening here. The presentations, the activities will all happen here. So for each day we'll start at 1 o'clock. And on Friday we'll have the dinner. Hopefully the heat will be working by Friday at the multiplex. We'll have the supper there if it's ready for us to go and use it there. Have the dinner over there, or we'll have to have it here. We're not sure about the dance because Highway 373 we're supposed to play for the dance, and because there's a bereavement in their family, we're not sure what's happening with that right now. And then the agenda may change as well throughout the week. Like Wednesday, we have a funeral Wednesday, and we have another funeral Thursday. So we'll let you know tomorrow or day by day how it's going to end up happening for each day. So I want to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you, Reg, for coming to Norrie House, and thank you for everybody for being here today. We'll do the door prizes tomorrow. We'll start the door prizes tomorrow. And Narcotics Anonymous meeting at 6 o'clock this evening here somewhere in a building. So let your family members know, your nieces, nephews, granddaughters, grandsons. We'll have a circle today for Narcotics Anonymous, and then tomorrow we'll have AA meeting. So I think that's it now. That's it. April, you want to say anything? Leonard?